Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and today is an exciting day. We finally get to bring the cockpit inside. We have it all set up. As you guys have probably known, if you've been watching my channel, I have been working on modifying this cockpit. So today, in today's video, I'm going to show you guys a V-roll of the cockpit build. It has some entertaining points in it, so I hope you guys enjoy that. We're going to talk about the materials that I've used. We're going to talk about the changes that I made, and I'm going to talk about the cost. And I'm going to give you guys hopefully some inspiration to get this stuff done yourself and to expand your flight simulation experience, because we're also going to be talking about why I did this. All right, so let's get started.
Pushing limits unknown through the skies we'll roll. With a roar we're born to own. Strap in tight, let's take flight. Adrenaline ignites. On wings of steel, we'll make it real through the darkest nights. From the dawn till twilight, we'll never lose the fight. In the heat of battle, our might. Every roll and every die will push the boundaries wide. We'll build the pixels, we'll make legends rise. Overkill simulations, masters of the air. With every mission we'll show we dare. In the cockpit we'll defy, pushing limits to the sky. Overkill simulations, watch us as we fly. Overkill simulations, the thrill will never die. The heart of every pilot will forever ride high. So join us now, let's take flight into the great unknown. In overkill simulations, we'll make our legacy known.
If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkill's tutorial guides from Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future releases that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below. All right, guys, so please don't skip this part. We got some fun stuff coming up here, but I do want to give you guys a couple heads up on some things here. So first off, this is very much so like the Warthog project. For those of you who don't know, go to YouTube right now, hit the search and look up the Warthog project and you'll understand. The Warthog project is a very, very in-depth, detailed cockpit. And all I'm meaning by this is that this is going to be an ongoing thing. And I've actually got, I've made a decision today that we're going to talk about later on that's really going to turn this into something phenomenal. First thing here is I'm going to talk about the pricing of everything, how much I've spent so far in order to do all these modifications. I have a bunch of material that's still left. And then how easy it is for you guys to really do this on your own. And that's part of the inspiration to what brought this in. Obviously, my reasoning for doing this is two-pronged, right? One was for me, obviously, and the other reason is actually for you guys. And we're going to talk about all those things as we get through it. So the first thing is we're going to talk about is how much I've spent total on this. So the total modifications, and by the way, this is the Next Level Racing Pro Flight setup. So you have the Pro Flight stand and the Pro Flight seat. They come together as one. And that runs you, I think it's right around $1,000 US. Now, I did have the benefit of the fact that Next Level Racing provided me with this setup. We got this when it first came out. It was probably about a year ago now, a year and a half ago now, easily, that this one was released. And the problem with, and this is what sort of started the whole path, is that Next Level Racing, they did a really good job making an entry into flight simulation, but you can very much so tell that their passion, let me turn this keyboard off before I bump it. Their passion is very much so racing, which absolutely makes sense. I'm going to be doing this a lot. This is sort of a makeshift headset here. Their passion and their focus is definitely racing, and you can see the racing aspects in this. And what I mean by that is with flight simulation, you're not static for very long, meaning that you're constantly going to be changing out controls. You're going to be adding new hardware. There's new hardware coming out. There's new things developed, which is the same with racing simulation. But I think the difference there is that with racing simulation, you still have the basic principles: steering wheel, handbrake, gear shifter, pedals, right? And there may be some new gauges, couple little things here and there, but for the most part, once you create that platform for those components, that's it. But we all know with flight simulations, completely different ballgame. You have yokes, you have flight sticks, you have collectives, you have throttles, you have trims and radio stacks, and it goes on and on and on. And then all these hardware are constantly being released. There's always new ones coming out, and gauges. Don't even get me started on that. And especially with mixed reality becoming such a thing now, and you can bet your butt, just like look at the way virtual reality evolved into flight simulation. Now we have to start thinking about how mixed reality is going to do the same thing. Okay, so my reason for doing this was to, really get you guys, showing that you have other options. So with all that in mind, and understanding that the Cockpit, the base here platform was provided to me, my cost to buy all the hardware, I'm sitting at a little less than $200, 200 US dollars. Okay, and I'm going to give you guys the ins and outs of that as well, so that hopefully you guys can find places that are similar. The advantage of an all-metal cockpit, which Next Level Racing is obviously you can weld to it. And the beautiful part about working with metal is that if you cut it too short, you can add more. If you cut it too long, you cut it off, right? If you need to add more later on, we just take it back out, grind the paint off you go. So metal is very, very forgiving. And this is all done in mild steel. The plates that you guys are going to see are 3/16 inch. I do recommend 3/16, and don't go any slower or any smaller. The reason being for that is simply because of the fact that if you go any thinner than that and you start getting into some of the longer pieces that you guys are going to see here, like what the flight stick is sitting on, it flexes a lot. And then if you try to weld braces and you don't do it quite right, you're going to get warps and buckles and things like that. Now, let's talk about the welder. Okay, I have a flux core welder that my dad provided me. He used to own a metal fab shop for about just shy of 20 years. Now, I worked with him for 2 years, about 25 years ago. Okay, and my welding experience was very, very limited. And the reason why I'm pointing that out is, guys, go on YouTube. You can get some scrap metal, do a couple practice runs with beads. You can pick up a decent welder for a project like this, for a weekend warrior project that, when you first buy it, it may get a ton of use. And then after that, it may sit in the garage or the shed for the next 10 years before you pick it up again. Don't go nuts. Don't go crazy, guys. You don't need a $500, $600, $700 welder. You just don't. Okay, what you want is a flux core welder. Okay, and what flux core is it's the type of wire that doesn't require gas. For those of you who don't know, most MIG welders use some sort of gas, whether it be CO2 or like argon. Okay, and the gas, what it does, helps concentrate the heat and keep the bead in the same location. Okay, flux core removes the need for gas. You plug it in, off you go. Doesn't make quite as pretty of welds, but again, you're not doing any structural welding here, guys. You guys, as we get up close, you'll probably see some of my welds. They look like crap. I said I haven't welded in 25 years. It shows. It's some of them are awful, but I don't care, right? And that's the other thing you got to think about here. You're not doing any kind of structural welding. As long as the two pieces are stuck together, when you're done, you're good. Put a little bit of weight on it with your arms, and if it ain't going to go anywhere, it sure as hell isn't going to go anywhere with this flight equipment. You think about the most heavy thing that the heaviest piece of equipment that I can think of that I own for flight simulation is my Thrustmaster TPR rudder pedals. Those are probably sitting at, I think they're just shy of 10 pounds. Okay, but after that, I mean, you're not putting that kind of weight. Even with the throttle, when you think about your arm, and even if you're using like a HOTAS and maybe you're doing some rapid movements, the odds of you putting enough pressure on to break a weld is just, no, it ain't gonna happen. Okay, and you're not putting the Titanic on your flight deck. They don't need to be ridiculously strong, and that's the only reason why I recommend. So the reason why I bring that up is when you go online, like the Amazon, you can pick up a flux core welder for anywhere from, as I've seen them, as low as $90 up to, and they go up from there. But I mean, I would say stay between the I wouldn't go the lowest. So I would say personally, from my experience and what I know of them, I would say between 150 and maybe 350 if you want to get a little bit higher end, but don't go any higher than that. Welding hoods, you can pick up a welding hood for as cheap as 30 bucks, and they even have the automatic dimming hoods just like the ones that I was using. Now mine again were old. They were very, very old. I had two different hoods here, and again 25 plus years of age, so they were pretty worn down. But you can, and again they do the same thing, as low as $30 all the way up to $400 or $500 depending on what you get, and probably even higher depending on the shield. But you're not going to be doing anything that needs that. You do not need anything like that. So I'm bringing up the welder because I know many of you may not have welders. So I'm going to give you guys the start from scratch. So let's say you have something similar to this. You have a metal frame cockpit, okay? And the easiest way to tell, for those of you who may not be aware, if you want to know if your cockpit is metal or not, put a magnet on it. If the magnet sticks, it's metal. If it's not, it's aluminum, okay? Or aluminium. Anyway, so getting that out of the way, don't go crazy when it comes to the welders. Don't go crazy when it comes to the hood. Welding gloves, you guys are going to see in you guys saw in the reel, okay, that I did. I used just a standard work glove. I used a leather one, but it's a standard work glove. The welding gloves are very, very impairing, especially when they're new. Okay, brand new welding gloves, they're a pain in the butt to grab onto things and get your hands in there. I don't even use one on my right hand, as you guys see. It's not worth it to me. And I didn't get flash burns or anything like that, guys. But to each their own, right? As far as the gloves go, that's up to you. But again, your standard, just yard work, maybe mechanics welding or mechanics gloves, as long as they're leather, you should be fine. For the type of welding that we're doing, you're just not going to be at it very long. Angle grinders. If you don't have any angle grinders, I was using 4.5 inch angle grinders, and the first one I already had. I've had it for a long time. The second one I bought on Amazon for $40, and it did great. Okay, so assuming that you don't have any of the stuff, you could probably get all the material that I've got here, and again, I've got a ton left in the garage still, and you might be $600-700 deep. And what I'm getting at here is that for $800, and this is my next plan, I bet for $800, if I had none of it, if I had none of the material, if I had none of the hardware, if I had none of the equipment, I bet for $800 I could build my own, and it would be far better than where we wound up here. Okay, and that's the next step. This has secured my desire that I am going to build my own cockpit from scratch. Okay, I'm probably going to harvest some things like this, chairs, etc., but I'm going to build my own, and even if it ends up being a little bit more expensive than what you would buy if you bought this, it's going to be yours. It's going to be customized. It's going to be designed around flight simulation. It's going to be designed around the idea of changing things up. Okay, so with that in mind, okay, that's where I'm getting at, where my goal hopefully is to inspire you guys to not settle. Okay, the flight simulation equipment alone is already expensive enough. Cockpits like this, it's a great start. It's a good foundation, and I really did enjoy it, and I probably could still strip it all down, and I may use some of this, but the thing is I need a cockpit in here. But I would definitely recommend looking into the idea of modifying and if the thing about welding and YouTube and things like that is that DIY, this is the DIY time, guys. Anything you need to know, you can find it on YouTube. Welding is not that hard. It's just not. Again, you're not going to be graded. It's not structural. If you can make the two pieces stick together and they're strong, that's it. That's all you need. All right. So with that in mind, we've talked about the price. I already had the welder, and I had one of the 4.5 inch grinders. I didn't need the second one, so I'm going to keep that out of it. I did not need it. That was just so I could stop swapping discs. All right, so I am, for me, because I already had the welder and everything, like I said, I'm about $200 deep into this, maybe $250, going out buying random parts here and there, things like that. So let's call it $250, and I still have material left over. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that $80 of that $250 is material that I did not use. Big giant sheets of 16th inch. That's how I found out that it was too thin. It had way too much flex in it. I didn't use it. And so that's why I'm telling you, don't go below 3/16. And if you do decide to buy a welder, make sure it can weld 3/16. Okay, that is something you have to look into. Okay, so with that in mind, let's go ahead and take a tour of the cockpit here. All right, guys. So as we get into this, the first primary reason why I did this was for this, getting in and out of this cockpit. The biggest reason why this is for my father. My father is 70 years old. He, like I said, he was a metal fabricator for years and years, and worked in the mines and drove truck and all kinds of other stuff over the years. And he's really kicked the crap out of his body, so it makes it very, very difficult for him to get in and out of it. So my biggest reason for doing this was this guy right here. So as you guys can see, it swings out. Now all I did here is we put a bolt here with the metal recess. I can't remember what it's called now. Of course, slag bolt. Or a lag bolt, excuse me. So this is I think it's a 4-inch lag bolt. So basically from here to right about here, there isn't any threading on it, okay? And the purpose of that is that way at the top of the threads, it'll allow it to work like a piston, or a piston, gosh, what am I thinking of? A door hinge, right? Here we have a tensioning bolt that holds this plate on. I designed this in a way where, let's say I wanted to, and this is sort of one of my goals, you guys are going to find that pretty much everything on here is concept, okay? My idea behind showing all this was to give ideas and myself ideas to what I want to do for a final product. So the idea is that if I want to, let's say, swap this out for, I don't know, maybe truck driving, American Truck Simulator, something like that. I decide to put, build a plate with shifters and button boxes or whatever kind of configuration. I can simply, this pin here locks it to the frame so that way it doesn't swing. This one here locks this to the arm. So we can simply, and I showed that in the V-roll that you guys saw, simply turn that and this whole thing slides out, right? So if you wanted to build a completely different setup, maybe something with an angle based on what you're doing and flying, simply loosen that up, slide it in, and you're good to go. And then when you climb in it, just like I showed you guys before, we drop this guy in. The pin is there, my bad. It's a little weird to do with one hand. Drop that in there like that. Take our pin, and there it goes. And now it doesn't move at all. Okay, it's really, really strong. I was really impressed with the way that came out. Okay, same thing up here. We sort of did something similar. The idea behind this piece is same thing. This is an arm and sleeve kind of configuration. That's a tensioning bolt that locks the arm in place. And so if I decide to design a different configuration, which I'm already thinking of a couple of different things that I want to do differently, I actually think what I want to do is have something that comes out like this and maybe around, or maybe at least at an angle, right? Just to give me more desk space here or room. And then maybe go back a little further now that I'm seeing it in action. Again, slide it out, good to go. Now this is something I didn't show in the video, but this is the other thing I did. The keyboard mount, what I did before is I used the arm that folds up from under here, and then I had the keyboard attached to it. And it was in the way when you try to swing your legs under. I didn't want anything right here in. I didn't want any kind of, center bar. So let me get the keyboard out of the way here. Did the same thing here. You guys can see I'm using a pin and barrel configuration. So these are barrel hinges, right? So I drilled a hole through these, and then just use that same kind of cotter pin or keeper pin that we saw down here to lock it in place. And then if I want to remove this, the other advantage that I did here is if I decide I want to do a different kind of configuration, again, maybe make some different kind of centerpiece. There is something that I'm hoping another company will send me. I'm sort of pleading with them at the moment to see if they'll give it to me. And we'll see what happens. But you guys will be really excited, and it will allow me to very easily get the keyboard out of the way, because if I get my wish, the keyboard will absolutely be in the way. So I'll be able to pull that out, put something new there, or let's say we just want to do a different configuration. I'm thinking about doing a couple more here and like here, again, just for further option. Things like MFDs, maybe touch screens. Like I said, I have a bunch of ideas now that things are in action. This here for the iPad is actually just an iPad mount that I found on Amazon. It was $30, and I just screwed it down to the plate, and so that was good. So that didn't require any kind of fabrication. That was easy. Let me get this guy back up here. The other thing I did is I removed that center or that cross beam that was right here. It was just really awkward when it came time to get your feet in there. Let me get the flash on. There we go. All right, now for the back for the collective. This was a big touch point. Wow, I forgot to clean that, didn't I? Holy crap, that's disgusting. Anyway, Still got metal dust on it. That's funny. Probably should get rid of that since these are all electric components, but whatever, we'll work on that. So anyway, what I did here is, you guys can see I only used 3 screws. I lost the 4th. I don't know what I did with it. I don't feel like going to ace, and it's certainly not going anywhere. But just welded a plate. You guys can sort of see how I did it. It's just a square plate that I welded to the back there, and created my own mounting position for this. I didn't like, it was really jerry-rigged before. What I was using before was a combination between this configuration, the Pro seat, and Next Level Racing's Boeing set is what I'd done before. Coming over here, that vertical bar I actually don't need. I was trying to use it as a stabilizing point and just honestly got too lazy to cut it out once I realized I didn't need it. And so what we did here is we created a leg, and that's an adjustable foot. And I actually, as you guys can see, I need to actually do that. I didn't realize that it didn't, but it actually kind of works out. So the reason why that's there is that, once again, I'm going to loosen that tensioning bolt right there. The leg will fall out from the bottom of it. I'll lift it up with a little bit of tension and force from my arm, but as you guys can see, without that, it's very wiggly. Now, when I tighten that up, okay, so I'm going to extend it all the way to the floor, lift up on it with a little bit of pressure, tighten that bolt up. This thing doesn't move at all anymore after that. So it was a great fix for that. Really, really solid. And then obviously here, this plate here, obviously is Next Level Racing. You guys can see where we get into just the sheet metal. So I extended it to the back. Okay, I did use a little bit of angle iron to create just a little bit of reinforcement between the 2 pieces on the edges so it didn't flex. Okay, damn cats. Damn animals in my life. And then obviously added that one and that one. So again, just welded those on, drilled the holes in the back, and mounted them. This was what you guys saw at the end of the video. So again, same kind of configuration with the tension bolt, but here we're using an Allen key. This is, again, we're using the barrel hinges. Okay, so this is the bottom piece, and this is the one with the pin in it. Slides down into it, turn it to wherever I want. So in this one I tapped, I drilled a hole, and then I also used a tap to add the threads. And so now I can use this Allen key, tighten it up. But what that allows me to do is I can now turn whatever is here, whatever I want to put right here. I can turn it, adjust it, simply tighten that Allen key and position it wherever I want. So the idea of what I was really trying to create here was modularity. I wanted to create an environment where I could very easily change the configuration, even if it requires, in the beginning, obviously it's going to require more fabrication, more construction, but this really creates an opportunity for me to be able to design it how I want. So if you guys want, what I'll show you guys now is how I get in and out of it, just so you can see how effective that really is. And we're really close to it right now. I could back the chair up a little bit, but it's fine. It'll work for what we're doing. Ouch. That's something I need to adjust. But for example, oh wait, no, I can't do that. I know why too. So it's not perfect system. This is in the way. I need to push this back. That was what got me. It was this. This is too close. So as long as you watch your knees, it's still fine. Okay. But then just bring this in. I forgot to pull the pin out. It helps when you keep it vertical. And there it is. And now we're off into the races. And I can very easily reach everything. We have our iPad here. There's Navigraph. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to show you. So keeping things back here on the deck, right? So this still moves a little bit, right? And I haven't figured out how I want to fix that part yet. But a really slick thing that I thought of, at least I think it's slick, to do these, you know, you have, sometimes you have the steam gauges, right? You have the G1000s, you have your different devices, in this case, the FCPs, to hold them in place. Because we all know they slide like crazy. Again, you don't need a lot. And you can see I can push everything just fine. Okay. These magnets are designed to keep vinyl on a car when you're putting vinyl on a car. So these, I can't remember what I don't even know what those say. Foshic? Something like that. Anyway, but you look them up on Amazon. You can see they have felt on one side. And they're just magnets. That's all they are. And I just drop them back. put it where I want, slide them forward so they can't go anywhere. Ow, that one hurt. And that's it. And it holds everything together very, very nicely. And then when it comes time to get out, let me lock my tablet back up. Pull the pin, extend, and you'll see getting out is a lot getting out is a lot easier. And you can even use it as a source to get up. I'd ran the USB cables here, but I'm thinking it's probably better if I just go to the back. Maybe use a cable tie or something, tighten it up right here, and just give it just enough where it will, and run it down this way. I think that's asking to be pinched and cut, so that's probably not my best plan. But anyways, yeah, that's the cockpit. So all I can tell you guys, give it a shot. Get into DIY. This stuff it's been a lot of fun. I had a really good time. I've already thought, you guys have already seen a couple things. So the reason why I couldn't push the seat back, by the way, I'll tell you guys that too, is on the collective. The collective is too close to the chair, and that was my fault. That was one of those measure maybe and then drill your holes. I had, at the time that I put those there, I had the seat all the way forward. And I actually think the back of the seat might not have even been attached. Anyway, so what happened is I drilled it, set it, went to put the seat back and went, uh-oh. You know, so had I measured it correctly, and so what I would do honestly is I could simply just pop it off, push it back a little bit, re-drill the holes, but I don't want to. That's really what it comes down to. I don't want to. I'm being lazy at this point. It's been a lot of work. But anyways, guys, oh, there it goes. I was waiting for that to happen. Anyways, guys, I hope that you guys have enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful, hopefully inspiring, at the very least some fun to watch, maybe made you giggle a little bit. As always, folks, thank you guys so much. Without you guys, I wouldn't even have had the need to do this. I wouldn't have had any of this stuff. I've said it before on my channel. I'm a single father of three. You know, I work the equivalent of 3 jobs. I would not have been able to afford all this stuff. I just wouldn't, you know, and it's, as I was trying to think about where to put everything and how I was going to put everything, it dawned on me, you know, that I really am very grateful for you guys. So, as always, folks, stay safe and healthy. I'll catch you in the next one. Love you all.